All right. Hey, everyone. It's Praz Murthy, CFO and co-founder at Dr. Multimedia. We're coming to you from our office in La Jolla once again, part of our marketing jam sessions, as we call them, although no jam board today. I wanted to go over a couple of factors in ranking highly on Google. There's kind of different ways that you can go about that. If you're not familiar with these, if this is the first one that you're seeing, we're trying to simplify online marketing topics for our doctors, for our office managers out there. Take a lot of this information that can be difficult to understand or relate to your practice and make it a little more tangible. We've covered all kinds of topics already, from what makes a good website to social media to reviews, reputation management. We are always taking suggestions, so if there's anything that you would like to hear us talk about, if you want us to look at your website, if you're a client, if you're not a client, please send them in. We've been doing a series of these so that we can start to get this free content out to our clients to really help them transition into 2019. You know, the world of online marketing has changed. It's a little more interactive now. It's a little more consistent. The proof is just in how we're going about this. You know, we weren't on Instagram Live a year ago. We weren't producing video content 2 years ago. It's kind of the times that we live in, and if we're going to recommend that our clients do it, we wanted to lead the way. And if you're not a client of ours, just enjoy the free content, the free information. Hopefully you find it helpful. And if you like what you hear, you know, drop us a line at drmultimedia.com. You can follow us on Instagram. A lot of these are uncut up on YouTube. Versions of them there as we start to produce them and get more mileage out of our content. But today, Monday afternoon, before everyone takes off from the office, we wanted to piece together some useful information and get that out to you guys. So one of the things we hear more often than anything else is that people want to be at the top of Google. Right, it's one of those things that's almost so ubiquitous that you almost don't even know what exactly someone means anymore when they say that. Do you want to rank #1 organically? Do you want to be on AdWords? Are you talking about the map? Are you talking about on a mobile phone? Are you talking about desktop? We just all know that Google is good and you should be high up on it. And that's kind of bared out by, you know, our just general experiences. When you need a new service or a store or a professional, usually go to Google, check out the results, read some reviews, and then start making phone calls or sending messages over the website. So pretty normal, I think, these days in our buying and our shopping experience. You pull out the mobile phone, you say something into Siri real quick, and then odds are you're on your way, you know, to fulfilling your need right there and then in the moment. I know our camera guys here needed something for a camera shoot last week, and they Prime Now'd it, and it was there 2 hours later. So it's just kind of the world we live in, immediate gratification. And when people are looking, you definitely want to be visible. So what we're going to go over today are 3 different ways to show at the top of Google. What those mean, kind of pros and cons. Some you have to work on yourself, some you need help with, some you can do both. So the 3 different ways to ranking at the top of Google is going to be the theme for today. What does it even mean to be on Google, right? So these days, when you look up something, especially on your desktop and even on your mobile phone, there are different components to the Google front page. It's not like it was 5 or 6 or 7 years ago where you type something in and you just get your search results. So generally speaking, there's going to be paid ads at the very top. A trained eye can, you know, spot the little ad symbol that's attached to them and know that that's what they are. A lot of times people don't realize that. Typically speaking, below the ads, you're going to find the Google Maps. Usually 3 to 4 listings depending on your search there in Google Maps. Really an emphasis on being local, immediately surrounding your area, what options are available, what options are open. And then finally, you know, kind of what most of us think of when we think about ranking on Google is your quote-unquote organic rankings. Organic in this context really means not paid for. So quote-unquote what Google's just naturally going to show. Let's dive into it. I think even though Google AdWords is a whole topic for a different day that, you know, you can go on, and an entire industry has been built around this, we can simplify it today to explain that Google AdWords is something that you can pay for. So if you're willing to pay Google money in exchange for people coming to your website, they will carve out, you know, a prime part of their real estate on their homepage, the very top, above the maps, and they will give you the opportunity to show in there. So in one very simple way, if your goal is to be at the top of Google, Google AdWords, or now Google Ads as it's called, is one possible solution, and it's the most straightforward. So what are some quick pros and cons for Google AdWords? Well, first is that it's immediate. So you can decide to start running Google Ads today, and they can start showing as soon as tomorrow. So there's really no other avenue to get to the top quickly than Google AdWords. So quick to use, and you're in control. So you can say, how much you want to spend. You can limit it. It's not like some of these other services that you sign up for where you don't really control your expenditure. So easy to use, immediate results. You can control the cost. Those are definitely the positives. The negatives would be, one, it can be fairly complex, especially if you're running it yourself. It's easy to set up, but what happens from there, is kind of up to you in terms of how much time and energy you're going to put into it, and their entire company is that's all they do. Two, if you want to stay at the top of Google, it can be incredibly expensive, meaning every time someone clicks on your ad, chips away at your budget. Once your budget runs out for the day, your ads are off. So if you want to stay at the top and you want to be there all day, depending on what things cost in your area, this could be a pretty expensive endeavor. And three, the effects might be immediate, but they're very short lasting, meaning it's just immediate gratification. So you pay money to Google tomorrow, you show at the top of Google tomorrow, and that's it. The short version of how you get to the top of the organic part of Google is a strong online presence. So of course, what does that mean? It means a really good website like we talked about, one that draws lots of traffic. It means good social media that stays active and points people back to the website. It means good reviews. It means all those little things that go into the Google algorithm that's so secretly guarded. And when you hear about SEO and you hear about Google updates and you hear about penguins and pandas and things like that, that's generally what everyone's talking about, are what best practices can we follow in this industry to have the best chance of success when you're talking about your organic rankings. And entire industries have spawned off of this. But the things that you can control as a doctor or an office manager are doing whatever you can to increase traffic to your website. These are kind of the things that you can do in-house. And then, of course, you can go out and you can hire a high-priced SEO company that's going to do all of these things for you and more. And you can invest in them and you can see how the results go. So what are some pros and cons of SEO? Well, the first, it's not immediate. It is very much a long-term game, so most people will consider that a con. It takes a lot of time and potentially a lot of money, or at least time and energy, to do things well that will rank you consistently over time. And this is never ending. You can't get to the top and then just shut everything down and assume that you're going to be there. The person at number 2, 3, and 4 are going to be trying to get to your spot. So it's this bit of an arms race when it comes to all the things you're doing. Generally speaking, the people at the top are always pushing the envelope and always trying to do the next best and greatest thing in search engine optimization, in websites, in an online presence. And that's why they stay so highly rated. Now, a con would be that because it's long-term, once you achieve the results that you want, they generally are longer lasting. So if you're in the top 3 of Google, if you're at that top spot and you've worked really hard to get there, usually that just can't be taken away overnight, especially if you're continuing to do all the things that made you successful. So unlike AdWords, where if you stop paying, you disappear, usually you can hold your organic rankings over a much longer period of time. The downside, of course, is that it can be very expensive, especially when you factor in how long you have to be working on this. We regularly meet doctors that have sunk, tens of thousands of dollars over the course of 2 years into SEO or bettering their website. And because they didn't really know what they were talking about or asking for, and all they could do is Google their practice and see how it's doing, they didn't really get the results they wanted, possibly through no fault of the companies they were working with, but possibly because they weren't looking at the problem the right way. So we definitely have, the pros and cons being the long-term results, and then with the SEO, whether you're paying someone or not, the fixed cost element of it is generally considered a pro, as opposed to the fluctuating costs of AdWords. What costs you $2 a click today might end up being $4 a click next month, and there's really nothing you can do other than sink more money into it. And now the third part, probably the least understood portion of Google that really blends these two areas together. It's Google Maps. It's probably the thing that I get the biggest request or the most questions on right now is people see that and everybody wants to be in the top 3. It's extremely competitive because before, well, everyone's trying to get on the first page of Google and there's only 10 spots. Now everybody wants to be on the top 3 of the maps and there's only 3 spots. And even if you're in one of the most rural areas, you generally will have a couple competitors in the area that you service, and there's often more than 3, within a few miles of you. If you're a dentist, gosh, you can go a block sometimes and end up with more than 3 practices. So this idea of getting on the top of Google or on page 1 of Google and the maps is a pretty hot topic right now. Well, the thing that you can control and probably where you want to focus your efforts on right now are your reviews. It's not a coincidence that your reviews are attached to your Google business listing, which is what's the 3 things that are being featured. They can get to your website through the maps, but it's not just your website. So while the ads go to your website, while your organic listings go to your website, the Google Maps are more of Google's territory where they get to control the information. They put your reviews on there. They can put a list to directions. They can put a link to your website. Hours show on there too. So a lot of times it's more about serving your local community. The pros, of course, a lot of people are making their buying decisions based on the maps, so it's really appealing. You can run ads in the maps now in a lot of areas, if not all areas. So if you were number 1 on the maps and you see someone now showing up and they have a little green ad, know that they're doing Google ads on the maps to get ahead of you. And that's one way to have a little bit more immediate gratification. But you want to show up on your maps. You want that strong local presence. Hope you guys learned something today. Again, my name's Praz at Dr. Multimedia. If you don't already follow us on Instagram, please do. You can catch a lot of these videos on YouTube. That channel's only getting bigger by the day. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't made it up there yet. Obviously, like us on Facebook. And if you want to communicate with us, you can always go to drmultimedia.com.